Best way to align with your desired reality is by loving yourself. And no, this isn't going to be a video talking about, getting on a diet, working out, just prioritizing self-care, cutting people off that don't serve you, educating yourself, all those things. I'm not going to be talking about that. Not saying that those things aren't important, but that's just not what we're going to be talking about when it comes to how to love yourself, how to truly, truly love yourself. What we're going to be talking about is acceptance. Because a lot of what those things are promoting is change. You have to change yourself in order to love yourself. And how exhausting is that, to constantly feel like you're not enough and you have to become something else in order to love yourself. I'm telling you right now, you'll never be satisfied. So this video is kind of like a sequel of my last video, how to actually change your self-concept or whatever. I forgot what I label it. So if you haven't watched that video, go watch that video, because this video will make more sense, because I'm just going to jump right in from what I was talking about in that video. But if you have watched that video, then you know where I'm going. So before I go any further, my name is Beyond Taylor, and I am here to help you go beyond your self-imposed limitations. I was on a call with one of y'all. I was on a call with one of y'all the other day, and he was like, can you do the Beyond? And I was like, yo, no. I was like, on spot like that? Yo. Absolutely not. But that was funny. Shout out to you. So the way to love yourself is to accept yourself. And it sounds simple. Okay, just accept myself. And then does that mean to be complacent? No, I'm not talking about that at all, because that's still the who you think you are that's asking that question. So again, we're going to jump right into what I talked about in my last video. So if you haven't watched it, go watch it. But the self that I'm talking about is the big S, the capital S self, which is I am. Whether you have been your greatest self or your lowest self, whether you have been happy or angry or sad, the one thing you know for sure is that you would say, I am happy, or I am very angry, or I am depressed, or I am anxious. It was always that I am that was present. And that's the self that we must love. And by love, I mean, not seek. I was about to say that's the self that we must seek, but seeking would imply that, it's lost. It's not lost, because it's who you are. A better word for it, I would say, is by loving this self, it's by constantly turning your attention to it. What do you do with something that you really love? You always want to be around it. You always want to just know how it's doing, be near it. Low key, kind of obsessed, but not obsessed in a scary way, like when you think of obsessive, like stalkerish, but just obsessed, like, oh my god, I'm obsessed. Like, I'm obsessed with my daughter, love her down. I'm obsessed with my partner, love him so much. I'm obsessed with my family, love talking to them, love knowing what they're doing, because I love them. So kind of in that, when they're like, oh my god, I'm obsessed, that type of obsessed. I feel like I kind of dragged it, but y'all get it. That's how I want you to become with the capital S. Is to always want to be near it. Always want to know what is the capital S up to. And you do that by constantly turning your attention towards it. By constantly turning your attention away from what your attention is primarily on, which is like objects, thoughts, feelings, and turning your attention towards I am and resting in that. And that's how you're going to love yourself. Not the small self with its ideas and beliefs and limitations, but the true self, which is just I am. You always are. That's who you really are. And you know that's who you really are because it's consistent. It's real. You know you are real. Maybe not what you're appearing as, but you are real. And what do we know about what's real? Is that it's consistent. Anything that changes cannot be reality. And when I'm talking about real, I mean reality. Whatever changes cannot be reality. What's consistent and always is what's real. What's true. That's a fact. It's not a fact that it can even be. You cannot argue with the fact that I am, that you are. You cannot argue that. It just, that is always the experience. Again, I don't care what thoughts come up about what I'm saying. You are there witnessing the thoughts. And not you who you're taking yourself to be. So a lot of times when I'm talking about the big S, which is awareness, being the perceiver, I am, people still are thinking about it from their self. So they're like, they're saying, I know that I am, but it's still like the limited self that's trying to grasp onto this truth. What I'm saying is like, what's even witnessing the limited self try to grasp onto the truth? What is it that's behind all experience, but that's ever present? That's what you need to love. That's what you need to become obsessed with. That's what you need to hold to the highest honor, is this truth. Is this truth of being, I am. Beingness. This is what you love. And the reason why this is going to allow you to align with your ideal reality is because when you stop trying to love the changing self by trying to fix it and heal it and do all these things, you start to identify with the truth, which is I amness, which is whole, complete, abundant, love. And then the thoughts that get signaled to you are one of wholeness. So you stop thinking in lack and limitation because you're no longer thinking from the limited self. Now you have thoughts about collaboration, contribution. You're constantly looking at things from a holistic perspective because those are thoughts that are now being signaled to you. You're constantly looking at things from an abundant perspective because those are the thoughts that are being signaled to you. And thoughts do indeed shape reality as far as like the perception. It doesn't create it because creation is finished, but it does shape reality. So the thoughts that are signaled back to you now when you're looking at reality through the lens of your thoughts, they are much more in alignment with what you actually want. Do you want a loving relationship? Love yourself. And not the self that changes, not heal yourself, work out, do all these things. No. Love yourself. Love I am. By constantly taking your attention towards I am. And by doing that, you instantly become love. You instantly become what you are seeking in a partner. And because you recognize yourself as that, what gets mirrored back to you in the form of reality is the love that you once sought. You once were seeking this love only to recognize that you were always the love. And now the world is mirroring that back to you in the form of relationships, whether romantically, friendships, great relationships with your family, great relationships at work. There's just love flowing everywhere because you have turned your attention towards it. And because you've turned your attention towards it by recognizing that you are just I am and not what is being perceived, everything that you see is now seen through the lens of this truth. The same goes with money, abundance. When you turn your attention towards who you truly are, where's lack in there? The lack only comes from the thought that, I am in financial hardship. I am whatever. Now lack is coming. I need. It's always the thoughts that are creating this narrative, which is why there's an importance in preaching that thoughts create reality. It's just the wording is wrong. Thoughts shape our perception of reality. the creation is done. So when you go to the I am, which lacks absolutely nothing, because it is in fact just the beingness, the stillness that's animating this entire experience, now you're on the same frequency as abundance. So now it's being reflected back to you. How everything that you could ever want, you have. You have it now. So this is how we really align, how you are going to really align with your ideal reality, by remembering who you truly are and by loving who you truly are. Now, let's get into the naysayers, because some people will say that, this is spiritual bypassing. This is stuffing. This is numbing. This is disassociation. But these are people that are addicted, no fault of their own, but they're addicted to being the self. It's too scary to release not being who they think they are. Because if you are not who you thought you were your entire life, your name, your occupation, your age, I mean, you haven't been at those things your entire life, but like, if you are not this person, then like, who are you? And to say that there's no answer that can be given through words, most people cannot accept that, because they're very rational, and because they think they are their minds, they're looking for answers. The mind is always looking to make sense out of things. That's just its job. So if any of you are like, this is, spiritual bypassing or whatever, who's saying that? Where is that thought even coming from? Examine it. This is not about a belief in that your true nature is just I am awareness, being the observer, consciousness. This has nothing to do with like me just trying to give you a belief. This is your direct experience. Are you brave enough to see this for yourself? I'm testing you. And if the mind is like, what do you mean, am I brave enough? Watch that. Where is that thought rising and falling? And when that thought leaves, do you leave, or are you still there waiting for the next thought, witnessing the next thought, witnessing the next experience? The only thing you know for certain is that you are. The only thing I know for certain is that I am. Everything else is false. And I'm not saying to discard it. Like, I'm not saying go run to the mountains and, just meditate on this and forget everything else. Personally, that's not my cup of tea. I feel like people who do that, they just have a hard time dealing with duality. But for me, I love to be, as Jesus would say, in the world, but not of the world. Like, I love to be in this experience, to get lost in it, to remember again, to forget, to remember again. Like, it's a beautiful dance. So I thought about it before, like going to an ashram and just meditating and like leaving the world. But wherever I go, I am. I can never escape the self. So like, going to ashram is like me trying to look for the self, but I've never not been myself. And by myself, I mean, I've never not known my experience. So I don't need to go anywhere to seek this truth. I just need to take my attention to what is it that's perceiving. This is how you love yourself and accept yourself. And then it makes it so much easier to accept the small self, because you realize that it's all perfection. It's all happening on its own. I know that may scare some of you, and I'm not here to scare you. But Neville talks about this all the time. It's interesting how people want to, when it comes to like everybody is you pushed out and talking about others in their world, people really want to believe that they are the only ones with free will in their world. Not even you. I won't get into that too much, but not even you. It's all just happening on its own. The freedom of choice is but an illusion. A great illusion, but an illusion nonetheless. So this is seen through loving the true self. And then it becomes so easy to accept the self because you know it couldn't be any other way. What's happening is exactly what's supposed to be happening. Anxiety can't live in this space because anxiety is worried about what's going to happen in the future as if it can control it, as if it has anything to do with the outcome. So it's like so anxious. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Knowing that what's going to happen is what's going to happen. And again, people don't like this because they're like, well, reality isn't predetermined. Yes and no. And when you guys watch my video, I may seem to contradict myself, but we are literally we are living in a walking contradiction. So everything is predetermined, but you have a choice over which predetermined reality you're going to experience based on what you are identifying as in the moment, which is why creation is finished, which is why what you desire is done, which is why there's a version of you who's already living in your ideal reality. It's just about aligning with them, not trying to change, but just aligning. And aligning seems like changing, but it's just a remembrance. Am I making sense, guys? Is this going over the head? If it is, I'll definitely create videos breaking down even what I'm saying in here. Uh-oh, my phone is ringing. But back to, the naysayers who are going to say this is spiritually bypassing because, it's important to heal the self and work, like do the shadow work and like heal our inner child, or we're just suppressing. This is not suppressing. This is the highest realization you can have. When you are being your true self, you are allowing all to pass, all the toughest emotions. They have the space to just be. You're not putting them away. What you are doing is taking your attention off the narrations about them, because they become the most least interesting thing about reality. So right now, the most interesting thing to you about reality are your thoughts. When you start to love yourself, love the big S, love I am, your thoughts become the least interesting thing about reality. Your emotions become interesting because the sensation that each emotion takes becomes very interesting. Not comfortable. I didn't say comfortable, but I said interesting. It becomes interesting how reality is literally coming and going, but there you remain as I am. That is interesting. It's interesting how you are seemingly in this reality of separate components and individuals with their own ideas and beliefs, all the while knowing that it's just I am animating the entire experience, or consciousness animating the entire experience. I always use those words interchangeably. That's interesting. Thoughts are just tools, but they become the least interesting thing. So in this moment, just recognize that my words have changed. I'm talking about something different. The sounds are coming and going. Word, sound, here, now. Coming and going. But there you remain. With sight, it can be a bit more difficult because there's like this, it seems to be very consistent. Like what you see, sorry, my phone about to die. But what you see is like very consistent. So it's a little bit more difficult to detach from what you see, which is why the body is very easy to like only identify as the self. But even that is coming and going. Even that. But start off with something as simple as hearing, tasting. Like go to your senses, explore the senses and see how your senses are the only way that you can interact with the world. Correct? But your senses are coming and going. Correct? What is it that's consistent? I am. I know. The fact of just being is consistent. What am I being? That changes. This is what is going to get you your desires. Because in this state, you are fulfilled. In this state, you are not, as Neuro would say, emotionally dependent on reality changing. Because any emotions or thoughts that come up to say how this, this stuff isn't working, or, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, I'm scared. It's just a sensation. It comes and it goes in the field of I am. I am anxious. I am. I am scared. I am. It's just that the I am is so consistent. You have to become obsessed about I am. So curious about I am. This is self-inquiry. Inquiring into the self. Who is it that is saying these things? When you find the self, you find what you are looking for in objects, people, circumstances. These people can never fulfill what you are seeking. They just can't live up to it. Even on their best days, they can't. Because they are also subject to change. And things that change, if you put your emotional dependency on that, be prepared to be let down. Because we live in the law of polarity. The pendulum has to swing. So why would you put any of your trust or faith in what changes? Put it in I am. And then when you go into like taking care of yourself and like doing visualizations, because I do these things, visualizations. I do EFT tapping, I script, I work out, I take care of myself. I do all these things to take care of the limited self. Or rather, it's done through me. With this recognition, the actions become effortless. And then it just seems like that this limited self wants to show up as like the highest version of like it wants to show up optimally. And the way that it shows up optimally is by aligning with the truth, because then the truth just takes care of itself. But if I identify with just being Taylor, 28-year-old mom, African American, whatever, right? If I identify with these things, then I'm limited. Then the thoughts that I receive are like the limitations of what it means to be a 28-year-old work from home mom, African American, like all those limitations just start pouring in. And I could just create new beliefs about it, or I could just remember who I am. And then by remembering who I am, the actions just become effortless. And people say to me, how do you do so much? Because I'm not doing it, it's doing me. I got out of the way. And I got out of the way by just like turning my attention. I became disinterested. I lost interest in the thoughts of Taylor and the limitations that came with being a body and a mind. I lost interest, and I was more interested in what was it that was aware of my experience. What is it that's animating this experience? I fell in love with God. This is what all religions are pointing to. But people become so fixated on the doctrination, on the dogmas, on the religion, on the rules, that they miss out on this pointing to the simple truth that I am is what they are looking for. And they always say it, and they always have access to it. They're just too obsessed with the world. Become obsessed with God. Love yourself, and everything will align. My phone is about to die. But I love you guys, and I will be talking to you soon. Make sure you guys join the Beyond Collective. It's $47 a month, where we do weekly coaching sessions. If you're looking for deeper mentorship, I do have the Cash Flow and Conscious Creator, which is a 3-month program, and we just welcomed 3 new members in this week. That is extremely, extremely exciting. I'm capping it at 10. Right now we are at 4, so I'm capping it off at 10. Once we get there, then there will be other ways to work with me. But if you are interested, I would definitely go ahead and join now for this high level support. If you are creative and you want to turn that into a profitable business, you want to release self-doubt, get out of your own way, then this is the program for you. Sign up for a call down below. We'll see if we're a good fit. Follow me on Instagram. And that's all I got. I love you guys. Talk to you soon. Bye.